Hello and welcome friends to my channel Bookzo English, and my name is Avenil. I am so happy you are here with me today. Please listen carefully to my words, because maybe today can be the day that changes your life. I know these are big words. I know it sounds heavy. But believe me, sometimes one story, one lesson, one truth can touch your heart and give you new light. Before we start, I want to ask you something. If you find any mistakes in my video, please write them in the comments. Please tell me, because many people do not watch the full story. They miss the small details. But you, my real friend, you can help me improve. And I promise you, I will read your words with love and respect. Now let us begin. I am 18 years old, and maybe you are older than me, or maybe you are younger. But I believe that age is not the only thing that matters. What matters is your heart, your mind, and your will to grow. I want to share with you my journey of learning English, and more than English, my journey of learning how to respect life itself. When I was small, I used to think life is just happening. I wake up, I eat, I go to school, I play games, I sleep. Day by day, everything was the same. I never thought deeply about it. But one day, I realized something powerful. Life is not just happening. Life is asking me a question. What will you do with me? Will you waste me, or will you respect me? And my answer was not clear at that time. But something inside me told me, if I respect life, I must learn, I must grow, I must make myself better. And one big part of this growth was English. Because English is not only a language, it is a key to people, to dreams, to opportunities, to freedom. Friends, let me ask you, have you ever felt small when someone speaks English fast? Have you ever stayed quiet because you were afraid to make a mistake? Have you ever looked down at the floor because your heart was shaking when you wanted to speak? I felt all of that. I felt like I was locked in a box. I wanted to open my mouth, but my mouth was like a closed door. I remember one moment very clearly. It was in my classroom. The teacher asked me to read one small paragraph in English. It was not very long, only 3 sentences. But when I stood up, my hands were shaking. My voice was weak. And inside my head, a storm was screaming, "You will fail. You will say it wrong. They will laugh." And yes, I read it badly. My words broke. My face turned red. And when I sat down, I wanted to disappear. That night, I cried in my bed. I asked myself, why can I not do this? Why is English so hard for me? Why is my mouth so weak? Why does my brain forget so fast? I felt broken. I felt like maybe I am not good enough. Maybe English is not for me. But then, something small happened. My father came into my room. He saw my tears. He sat beside me. And he said one simple sentence. Avenil, respect your life. Respect your pain. Pain is your teacher. At first, I did not understand. But later, I thought about it again and again. If pain is my teacher, then my mistake in class is not my enemy. My shaking voice is not my enemy. My fear is not my enemy. They are teachers. And if I respect them, maybe I can grow. So I started again. Slowly. I told myself, English is not a mountain that I must climb in one day. English is like a small plant. I must water it every day. If I respect this plant, it will grow. The first method I used was survival sentences. I told myself, okay, maybe I cannot speak big English, but I can start with small sentences that help me survive. For example, how are you? I don't understand. Can you help me? My name is Avenil. These were my survival tools, like small stones I could put in my pocket and use when I needed them. And every time I used one, I felt a little stronger. Then I found shadowing. This was new for me. Shadowing means I listen to someone speak English, and I repeat their words at the same time, like a shadow. At first, it was very funny. My tongue felt strange. My brain was slow. Sometimes I laughed at myself, but I kept doing it. Every morning, 10 minutes. Every night, 10 minutes. Step by step, my mouth became softer. My voice became faster. My heart became braver. But even with these steps, there were still many days of pain. Some days, I wanted to give up. Some days, I told myself, it is too hard. You are too weak. But then I remembered my father's words. Respect your pain. And so, I continued. Friends, today I want to tell you this truth. English is not only about grammar and vocabulary. English is about your heart. If your heart is weak, your English will also be weak. If your heart is brave, your English will be brave. So first, respect your heart, respect your journey, respect your life. One evening, I was sitting alone. I opened my notebook. I started writing small sentences about my day in English. I woke up at 7. I ate bread. I went to school. It was very simple. But while writing, I felt calm. It was like I was talking to myself. I was building a small friendship with English, and this friendship was not about exams or grades. It was about me, my life, and my respect for myself. Day by day, this small habit grew. I started to talk to myself in English when I walked alone. I looked at the trees and said, "The tree is green." I looked at the road and said, "The road is long." Sometimes people looked at me and thought I was strange, but I did not care, because I knew if I respect myself, I don't need to fear their eyes. And then something powerful happened. One day, my teacher asked a question in class, and without thinking, I raised my hand. I spoke one small sentence. It was not perfect, but it was clear. And the teacher smiled. My classmates looked at me with surprise, and I realized the box around me was opening. The door was not locked anymore. That night, I did not cry. That night, I smiled. Because I knew something very important. English is possible for me. And if it is possible for me, it is possible for you too. Friends, remember this. Do not wait for tomorrow to respect your life. Start today. Start with one word, one sentence, one action. Respect the pain. Respect the process and respect yourself. Part 2. After that first small victory in class, something inside me changed. It was not a big change, not like the movies where everything becomes perfect in one moment. Number. It was small, but it was real, and I held on to it like a treasure. Because sometimes, friends, one small step is all we need to believe in the next step. I started to practice shadowing more seriously. I found a short video on YouTube. The person was speaking slowly and their words were clear. Every day I played the video. At first, I only repeated 2 or 3 words. My voice was late. My mouth felt heavy. But I told myself, do not stop. Respect the practice. Respect the time. So I continued. After 1 week, I could shadow 1 full sentence without stopping. It was not perfect, but it was better than before. And this small progress gave me energy. I felt like I was climbing a mountain, not fast, but step by step. Each step made me stronger. Still, there were hard days. One day, I tried to shadow a new video. The person was speaking very fast. My brain could not follow. My voice was broken. I felt angry. I wanted to throw my notebook on the floor. In my heart, I heard the old voice again. You are weak. You cannot do it. Why are you wasting time? But then I remembered something. I remembered the night when my father told me to respect my pain. So I took a deep breath. I closed my eyes, and I told myself, this pain is not my enemy. This pain is my teacher. If I respect it, I can learn slowly. I calmed down. I turned the video speed slower. I tried again, and this time I could follow a little better. Not perfect, but better. That evening, I wrote in my journal. I wrote, I failed today. But I learned that failing is also part of winning. Because failure shows me where I must grow. And as I wrote these words, I felt lighter. My pain turned into power. Friends, journaling became one of my strongest tools. Every night, I opened my notebook and wrote something in English. Sometimes only 2 lines, sometimes 1 page, sometimes only 1 sentence. But I wrote. And these small writings built a bridge between me and English. It was like English was a friend, sitting beside me, listening to my thoughts. One day, I tried something new. I asked myself a question in English, and then I answered in English. It was strange at first. I asked, how was your day, Avenil? Then I answered, my day was good. I studied. I felt tired. I am happy now. It was simple, but it made me smile. I called this the Q&A method. And slowly, it became like a game. I asked harder questions. What do you want in life, Avenil? I want to be confident. I want to help people. I want to grow. And with every question and answer, I felt closer to myself. But my journey was not always smooth. I remember one morning I walked to school and whispered to myself in English. I said, the sky is blue. The road is long. A group of boys passed by and laughed at me. They said something in our language, and I knew they were making fun of me. My face turned red. I felt small again. That night I did not practice. I felt hurt. But then, I thought about life again. If I let their laughter stop me, I am not respecting my life. I am letting their opinion control my dream. And I promised myself, no more. If people laugh, let them laugh. If people judge, let them judge. Because this is my life, not theirs. Respect means protecting your dream, even when others don't understand. Slowly, I started to speak more in class. One time, I asked the teacher a question in English. My voice was still a little weak, but the teacher smiled again. He said, "Good question, Avenil." That moment gave me hope, because I learned that even if my English is not perfect, people can still understand me. And that is enough. Communication is not about perfection. It is about connection. One evening, while walking home, I looked at the people around me. Some were tired, some were angry, some were smiling. And I thought, all of us are living one life. We all have pain. We all have dreams. But only a few respect their life enough to fight for their dreams. And I decided, I want to be one of those few. So I made a small rule for myself. Every day, I must do something in English. Even if it is small, listen to a song, read one paragraph, write one line, ask myself one question, speak one sentence out loud. It did not matter how small it was. What mattered was the respect I gave to my daily practice. And friends, slowly, I started to see a new version of myself. I was not the boy who cried in his bed after class. I was not the boy who hid his eyes in fear. I was becoming someone new, someone braver, someone who could look at himself in the mirror and say, I am learning. I am growing. I am respecting my life. There were still mistakes, of course. Many times I said the wrong word. Many times I forgot grammar. But something was different now. Before, mistakes made me cry. Now, mistakes made me smile. Because I knew. Each mistake is a step forward. Each mistake is proof that I'm trying. And trying is respect. Sometimes, I imagined my future. I imagined myself speaking English clearly, talking with people from different countries, traveling, maybe even teaching others. These dreams gave me energy. They were like fire in my heart. And whenever I felt tired, I remembered that fire. One day my teacher gave us homework. Write a small speech in English and present it to the class. At first I was afraid. My stomach was tight. My hands were cold. But then I remembered all the small steps I had taken. Shadowing, journaling, self-talk, Q&A method. I told myself, this is the time to use all of them. Respect your practice. Respect your chance. I wrote my speech carefully. I practiced at home, reading it again and again. I shadowed my own voice, pretending I was someone else and copying myself. I asked myself questions about my speech and answered them. I stood in front of the mirror and looked at my face. I told myself, you can do this. The next day, I stood in front of the class. My heart was beating fast, but I took a deep breath. And I spoke. My voice was not perfect, but it was strong. My words were not perfect, but they were clear. I finished my speech and the class clapped. The teacher smiled again, and in that moment, I felt free. That night, I wrote in my journal, "Respect your life, respect your pain, respect your dream, and life will respect you back." Part 3. After that speech, something inside me became more alive. I started to believe in myself a little more. It was not full confidence yet, but it was a spark. And that spark was enough to keep me moving. Because once you taste a small victory, you start to want more. I continued my daily English habit. Sometimes it was shadowing, sometimes journaling, sometimes asking myself questions. But I also tried something new. I started self-talk. At first it was strange. I walked around my room and talked to myself in English. "Good morning, Avenil. How are you today? I'm fine. What will you do today? I will study English. I will try my best." It was like having a friend inside me. At first I felt shy, even though nobody was watching. I laughed at myself many times. But slowly, it became natural. I realized that speaking to myself gave me power, because I was not waiting for someone else to practice with me. I was not waiting for the perfect moment. I was creating my own practice. And this is respect. Respect means using what you have, not waiting for what you don't have. One day when I was walking to school, I started self-talk quietly. I looked at the cars and said, "The cars are fast." I looked at the people and said, "The people are busy." Then I thought about my feelings and said, "I feel nervous. I want to be strong." It was simple, but it was mine. And this gave me courage. But friends, not every day was easy. There were days when I felt very tired. There were days when my mind was heavy, when my heart was sad. On those days, I did not want to practice. I just wanted to lie in bed and do nothing. And sometimes, I listened to that sadness. I did nothing. And after, I felt guilty. I told myself, maybe you are lazy. Maybe you will never be fluent. But then I remembered something. Respect also means rest. Respect also means forgiving yourself. If you fall one day, you can stand again the next day. So I allowed myself to rest. And the next morning, I started again, even if it was small. Maybe only one sentence, maybe only one word. But I started. Slowly, I discovered another method: reading out loud. I took a simple English book with short sentences. Every night, I read one page out loud. At first, my voice was slow, my tongue was stiff. But after many nights, my reading became smoother. I felt like my mouth was learning a new rhythm. It was like music. Sometimes I even closed my eyes and just enjoyed the sound of my own voice speaking English. One evening, while I was reading, my little sister came into my room. She asked, "Why are you reading English so loudly?" I smiled and said, "Because I want to make my English strong." She laughed and said, "It sounds funny." And then she sat beside me and listened. That moment was special, because for the first time, I felt like my practice was not only for me, it was for others too. Maybe one day my English could inspire her or help someone else. And that gave me new strength. Later, I decided to record myself. I used my phone. I read one paragraph in English and recorded my voice. Then I listened again. At first, I did not like it. My voice sounded strange. I heard many mistakes. But I also heard progress. I could hear that my voice was stronger than before, and that gave me hope. Recording became my mirror. Just like you look into a mirror to see your face, I used recording to see my English. And slowly, the mirror started to show me growth. My sentences were longer. My pauses were shorter. My voice was clearer. But life always tests us. One day, I had to speak to a visitor at school. He was from another country. He spoke only English. The teacher asked me to help him find the office. My heart started to race. This was real English, not practice. My hands shook, my face felt hot. For one moment, I wanted to run away. But then I remembered my practice. I told myself, respect this moment. This is not a test. This is a chance. So I smiled and said slowly, "Come with me. I will show you the office." The visitor understood. He smiled back and said, "Thank you." And in that short moment, I felt like all my small steps were finally useful. That night, I could not sleep. I thought again and again about that moment. It was not perfect. My sentence was short. But it worked. And that showed me something important. English is not about long, perfect sentences. English is about helping, connecting, sharing. Even one short sentence can open a door. Friends, maybe you also think sometimes, my English is too small. My words are too few. But I want to tell you, even small English has power. Respect your small English. Use it. Share it. Because it can help someone, it can touch someone, it can change your life. After this, I started to feel more confident. I spoke more in class. I asked more questions. Sometimes I even corrected myself in the middle of speaking. Before, I was afraid of correction. Now I welcomed it. Because correction is also respect. Correction shows that I care about growing. Still, I faced many challenges. Sometimes I forgot words in the middle of a sentence. Sometimes my friends spoke faster than me and I felt left behind. Sometimes my teacher used a big word and I did not understand. In those moments, I felt small again. But instead of crying, I started to smile. Because I knew this pain is part of the process, and one day, this pain will become my power. I wrote in my journal, every mistake is a teacher. Every pain is a teacher. Every small step is a teacher. Respect them all, and they will lead you to growth. And something new started to grow inside me. Patience. I learned that fluency is not one big jump. It is many small steps. It is many small tries. It is many small moments of courage. And if I respect each step, one day I will arrive. One afternoon I sat by the window. The sun was setting and the sky was orange. I thought about my journey. From the boy who cried in bed after failing to read 3 sentences, to the boy who now speaks, writes, shadows, self-talks, and even helps visitors. And I smiled, because I realized I am not just learning English. I am learning life. English taught me respect. Respect for time. Respect for mistakes. Respect for small steps. And most of all, respect for myself. Part 4. With each passing week, my English was becoming not only a subject but a part of my life. It was in my mornings when I talked to myself in the mirror. It was in my afternoons when I wrote 1 or 2 lines in my journal. It was in my evenings when I shadowed videos or read books out loud. English was no longer homework. It was no longer something heavy. It was becoming my companion. But even when you start to grow, life gives you tests. One big test came when my teacher asked me to join a debate in English class. At first, my heart jumped with fear. A debate? That meant I had to argue, answer questions, and think fast, all in English. My mind whispered, "This is too much. You cannot do it." But then another voice, a new, stronger voice inside me said, "Respect your journey. You have practiced for this moment. Do not run away." So I said yes. The days before the debate, I worked very hard. I prepared simple sentences. I practiced shadowing with videos about the same topic. I wrote down questions I thought people might ask, and I answered them in English. I stood in front of the mirror and argued with myself. I felt silly many times, but I kept going, because I knew only practice can prepare me. Finally, the debate day came. I stood in front of the class, facing my classmates. My hands were cold, but I tried to smile. When the debate began, the first student spoke very fast. I understood only half of his words. Fear came back into my chest. But I reminded myself, I do not need to be perfect. I only need to share my thoughts clearly. So when my turn came, I spoke slowly, sentence by sentence. My opinion is, I believe that we should respect. The words came out simple, but they came out strong. And when another student asked me a question, I paused, took a breath, and answered. Not perfect, but clear enough. Some classmates even nodded. My teacher wrote something in his notebook and smiled at me. When the debate ended, I felt a wave of relief. I did not win. I was not the best speaker. But I was there. I spoke. I did not hide. And for me, that was victory. That night, I could not stop thinking about it. I realized that courage is not about being the best. Courage is about standing up even when your knees shake. And I respected myself for that courage. After the debate, my confidence grew faster. I started speaking more English outside class. Sometimes at the shop, when I saw a word written in English, I read it out loud. Sometimes on the bus, I whispered English sentences about what I saw. The man is wearing a red shirt. The woman is carrying a bag. These small actions kept my mind awake. But then, another challenge arrived. I was invited to join an online English club. Students from different countries met every week to talk. At first I thought, no, this is too scary. Speaking to strangers in English? They will all be better than me. I wanted to say no. But again, I remembered my rule. Respect your life. Respect your opportunities. So I said yes. The first meeting was very hard. When it was my turn to speak, my heart was racing. My voice was soft, almost broken. but the other students listened kindly. One girl from Japan smiled and said, "Good job, Avenil." That simple encouragement touched my heart. The next week, I joined again, and the next. Each time, I spoke a little more. Each time, I felt a little stronger. And slowly, I realized something very beautiful. English was not only about me anymore. It was about connection. I was meeting people from different countries, different cultures, different lives. And yet, we were all connected by English. This made me respect the language even more. Still, the road was not smooth. Sometimes when others spoke too fast, I felt lost. I wanted to leave the call. I wanted to hide my face. But instead of running, I started writing notes. I wrote the words I understood. I wrote my feelings. I feel lost. I feel nervous, but I will not give up. And then I told myself, this pain is a teacher. Next time, I will understand a little more. One night, after an online session, I sat on my bed thinking about everything. From my first small survival sentences, to shadowing, to journaling, to self-talk, to debates, to online clubs, I had walked a long road. And I was still walking. I realized that English had given me more than just words. It had given me courage. It had taught me patience. It had shown me that respecting life means respecting every step, every pain, every small progress. But life tested me again. One morning, I had to guide a foreign tourist in my town. He asked me in English, "Can you tell me where the bus station is?" My heart froze for a second. This was not practice. This was real life. If I failed, he would not understand. But then I smiled and said, "Yes, I know. Go straight, then turn left." The man thanked me. His smile was full of respect. And in that moment, something inside me broke open. I felt free. I felt that English was not only inside notebooks or classrooms, it was alive. It was in the streets, in people, in smiles. It was in life itself. That night, I wrote a long entry in my journal. Today, English opened a door for me. I helped someone. I connected. I was not afraid. This is the respect I give to life, and life gave respect back to me. From that day, I promised myself, I will never stop learning. Even if I fail, even if people laugh, even if I feel small, I will continue. Because every small step is worth it. Every mistake is worth it. Every word is worth it. Friends, maybe you are also on this road. Maybe you also feel the fear I felt. Maybe you also feel the pain of mistakes. But let me tell you, do not stop. Respect your pain. Respect your small English. Respect your dream. And slowly, you will see yourself grow. Because English is not only about language, it is about life. And if you respect life, life will give you more than you can imagine. Part 5. The more I walked on this journey, the more I saw that English was not only a subject, it was a mirror of my life. Every fear I faced in English was the same fear I faced in life. Every time I respected my pain in English, I was also respecting my life. And slowly, The boy who once cried in bed after failing to read 3 sentences was disappearing. A new person was being born. The breakthrough came one afternoon. Our school invited a guest speaker from another country. He gave a talk in English about success and dreams. At the end, he asked, "Does anyone want to share their story in English?" My heart started to beat fast. I looked around. Nobody raised their hand. For a moment, the old voice inside me whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't embarrass yourself. You will make mistakes." But then another voice spoke, a new voice that had grown stronger through months of practice. "Respect this moment. This is your chance. Stand up." Before I could think too much, I raised my hand. The teacher looked surprised but nodded. The guest smiled. My classmates turned to me. My legs shook as I walked to the front. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. But I remembered all the nights of journaling, all the mornings of self-talk, all the recordings, all the shadowing, all the debates, all the small steps. They were all walking with me. I started speaking. "Hello, my name is Avenil. I want to share my journey with English." At first, I was very afraid. I could not speak. My hands shook. I cried many nights. But I did not stop. I respected my pain. I respected my dream. And step by step, I grew. Now I am not perfect, but I am not afraid anymore. English is not only a language for me. It is my friend. It is my teacher. It is my life. When I finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then the guest clapped. The teacher clapped. My classmates clapped. And suddenly, my eyes filled with tears, not from fear, but from joy. I had done it. I had spoken my truth in English. I had shared my heart, and people had listened. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling a deep peace in my heart. I realized something powerful. Fluency is not just about words. Fluency is about freedom. Freedom to express your heart. Freedom to connect with others. Freedom to respect yourself fully. From that day, I stopped saying, "I am learning English." I started saying, "I am living in English." Because English was no longer outside of me. It was inside me. It was part of who I was becoming. Friends, maybe right now you are at the beginning of your journey. Maybe you feel fear. Maybe you feel small. Maybe you think, "I will never be fluent." But I want to tell you, you are wrong. You can. You will. Because fluency is not a gift for special people. It is a reward for those who respect their journey. Respect means practicing even when you are tired. Respect means smiling at your mistakes. Respect means talking to yourself when nobody is watching. Respect means writing one line even when your hand feels heavy. Respect means raising your hand even when your heart shakes. Respect means never giving up. And life will see your respect. Life will give you opportunities. Life will give you moments when you stand in front of others and speak from your heart. And in those moments, you will feel what I felt: freedom. Now, when I look at myself in the mirror, I see not only a boy who speaks English. I see a boy who respected his life, A boy who turned pain into power. A boy who turned mistakes into teachers. A boy who turned small steps into mountains. And I believe you can do the same. English is more than grammar, more than vocabulary, more than exams. English is a bridge to people, to dreams, to freedom. And if you walk on this bridge with respect, one day you will reach the other side. So my final message to you is simple. Respect your life. Respect your English. Respect your dream. And life will respect you back. Friends, thank you for walking with me through this journey. If my story touched your heart, if it gave you hope, then please support me. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Bookzo English. Join me on this path. Let us grow together. Let us respect our lives together. Because your life is precious, your dream is precious, and you are precious. Never forget that.